Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi ho, everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us, the show about all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin and Griffy D-Pad, and with me, as always, is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How are you doing tonight?
Can you smell the chicken and pork, I guess?
No, I can't.
Okay.
Probably because we're on opposite sides of the continent.
That would do it. Also, the rain outside probably drowning out some of the smells, making its way over to you. I get it.
Also,
I
what
mean,
a very specific
enough here
reference
that you
that
can probably get it through the screen, but
what a very
is
specific reference that that is not guaranteed for everyone that watches our show to understand it.
it was a crossover between The Rock, aka Dwayne Johnson's character in WWE, and the fact that there is a chicken and a pig in this movie.
But I'm telling you, I guarantee you, there are people that know Dwayne The Rock Johnson that don't know. Can you smell what The Rock's cooking?
How do you not know? Okay.
Not everybody is a wrestling
nothing
fan.
about wrestling. How can you not know the most iconic line that he had as a professional wrestler? I mean,
I know it, but also it took me a while
everyone
to
should know it. If you don't, WWE's back catalog is coming to Netflix in the new year, and I know we're not that show, but go and catch up on some classic The Rock in WWE because he was fantastic.
Of course, folks, in case you couldn't tell by that, or just because of the title of the video/podcast, we're talking today about the very first Moana movie. And I can say that because Moana 2 is on the horizon, and I'm excited.
And they're making a live action one for some reason.
Which we will talk about, unfortunately.
The reason being money. They like money, and Moana made a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. I also think that The Rock just kind of pled at Bob Iger's feet to let him make that movie.
And he's also got a lot of money. So when you have a lot of money, you can make things happen. I mean, you look at the results of the most recent presidential election in the United States.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elon.
What a fuck. Anyways, I think we're past 90 seconds.
Sarcasm for anyone who can't actually tell.
Yeah, we're talking today about Moana releasing to us November 23rd, 2016. Oh, that feels so long ago.
Because it was. Griffin, children that released when this movie was out are in the second grade now.
I was in high school when this movie came out.
This was a weird one because this movie came out and it was, again, one of these weird Disney animated films that had a very slow burn. It was one of those things that just, it stuck around through the holiday season, was the top grossing film for, I want to say, like 10 weeks in a row, and just had this slow burn through the holidays, which was kind of wild. But they've done it more than once. They did it here. They've done it with Frozen. It's just kind of Disney's thing when it comes to original animated features, or at least of that era.
I was in college. I want to rephrase my sentence. I was trying to remember. I'm like, wait, 2016 is the year I graduated high school.
I'm going to say, that was 2 years after I graduated university.
I was like, I was doing the math because you know how, like, the class
That's
of
hard, I get it.
Because, like, graduating in 2016 means you graduate in, like, the summer, and then you have the fall. It's weird. Regardless. Yeah, this movie is, there was this time of it was just banger after banger after banger. This film receiving significant nomination and recognition for how good this movie is. I think this was kind of one of post-Hamilton, one of Lin-Manuel Miranda's biggest projects. I
was also wrong. I went and fact checked myself. It was number one for 3 weeks, not including the week it released. Funny enough. But that's because, again, it was one of these things where it grew on audiences after that first week, because you had Fantastic Beasts, Doctor Strange, and Trolls all finish ahead of Moana that weekend at the box office.
Well, I think what's interesting about this too is that this was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, and it did not win either of them. For frankly good reason. It was nominated obviously
just because of what else was nominated.
Yeah, it was nominated for Best Animated Feature the same year that Zootopia and Kubo and the Two Strings came out. Kubo, one of my favorite movies ever.
I should watch it.
It's amazing.
So funny thing about Kubo, I bought it on Apple TV when it was on sale, like probably in 2017 or 2018, and have yet to watch it. So what I'm going to do for you, Griffin, I'm going to put it on the iPad that's coming to the hospital. And while I'm sitting there for hours on end with nothing else to do, I'm going to watch Kubo and the Two Strings, okay?
Perfect.
Mostly because, okay, I got a gripe to pick with Disney, all right? Can I have my soapbox for a minute, or do you want to finish up your thing?
Can I finish my thought before giving you your soapbox?
Yeah.
So the other thing, the other anime, wow, you've totally thrown me out. The other Academy Award this was nominated for was Best Original Song for How Far I'll Go, which I stand by that nom. You want to know why it lost? Because that was the year La La Land came out.
Understandable.
Like, nothing could stop this movie. This movie was amazing, and, like, obviously, there were other movies that year that outshine it in different regards, but, like, Moana has become such a hit, such an amazing, like, part of Disney at this point. Like, we're getting the Moana area now for, Moana's getting representation in the parks. We already have the Moana attraction at Epcot. Moana is a massive part of Happily Ever After, the fireworks show at Magic Kingdom. Like, Moana is in all of this, and it's wonderful and amazing. And now, Mitch, go ahead and go on your soapbox.
I'm honestly just surprised that they haven't announced a Moana land for one of the parks, but I have my soapbox to climb on, so give me a second. I am currently in possession of an iPad Air 2. For those who aren't aware, the iPad Air 2 released 10 years ago. So I have not gotten software updates for the last couple of years on this device other than security patches. Because of the version of iOS that this thing runs, I can no longer use Disney Plus on this iPad.
Rip.
So I go in there today to download a bunch of shit to watch when we're at the hospital, and I can't. So now I got to, explain to my wife why we can't watch whatever it is, Skeleton Crew or How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or some other Christmas movie she wants to watch. All because Disney doesn't support iOS 16. What the hell, Disney? All right, I'm done.
I feel like that's less a Disney problem and more of just a tech problem in general.
iPads are expensive. I don't want to have to upgrade. It still works.
Well, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that this feels like more of like a tech industry in general issue than just Disney. But because it's the same for everything. I can't use like YouTube on some old stuff.
I haven't gone through the rest of the apps, but if I can't get things like the Penguin downloaded to this device, I might be in trouble.
I'm mad at HBO at the moment, so fuck them.
That's understandable, and I think I know why, but I really want to watch the Penguin.
Yeah, fair enough. The show's really good. Look, the DC stuff.
You're
awesome.
talking specifically about the thing they came out and said today, about the transphobe who's a fucking piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. Which, man, I feel like it's not Disney related, but I would just love to do an episode of just like, fuck you, J.K. Rowling, and just...
I'm down for that anytime.
Problem is it's not Disney, so I don't feel right doing an episode on it.
Well, we can just call it not D plus us and be fine.
Oh, right, we have that bit.
We don't, but we only did that once for April Fools, and we could do it again.
Well, we did it because we wanted to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Because it's a great friggin' movie.
It
But
really was.
continue, back to Moana.
Yeah, I love this movie, man. This is one of my favorites of the modern generation. Like, How Far I'll Go is one of my favorite Disney songs. This was such an interesting movie to have watched. To go back to the timing, right, of like watching this in that transition between high school and college. Like, there's something weird for me, and maybe this is, the kind of vibe of with a lot of movies of you go in, you take out what you're going to take out from it. But there's such a weird timing to some Disney movies that get released with just like how they correspond with like stuff that's happening within either the world or just my life in general. But for this one to come out with How Far I'll Go specifically to come out like in that transition period between high school and college was such a weird experience because it's such a... I think How Far I'll Go is such a relatable song of just trying to go out into the world and see what you can do.
It's funny. I feel like everyone has a story like that. So we've talked about these things at length. So I don't know if it's worth its own episode, but I think we all have a story of a Disney thing that has hit us at the right time. And for me, that was Toy Story 3 releasing the week I graduated high school. Because boy, if that didn't hit then, it certainly hits now.
Yeah, I can't rewatch that movie because I just...
It hurts, and I really want to do an episode on it, but I don't feel like crying soon. I mean, I'm going to because, baby, but still.
Yeah, there's so much amazing things to be said about this movie. And I think the best place to start it, honestly, is the cast. Particularly Ali Carvalho, who has just become a fucking star among stars. I love her so much. I will go see anything she's in at this point. Like, she just fucking kills it whenever she's in anything. Like, the Mean Girls musical movie, when that came out, wasn't great. But every part she was in, she was amazing.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, she's like
It's
one of
those things
roles.
where she is this movie is her, so it's hard to separate her from this character. But honestly, this movie doesn't exist without her. And again, I'm with you. It's one of my favorite modern Disney films, and I'm really glad that he was the one they cast in this role because it can't really exist any other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she did. She was bouncing between a handful of things. She was doing some stage stuff. She did some TV stuff, and then like I think.
I know she did the Little Mermaid TV musical.
Yeah, she did a couple of movies, and then I feel like Mean Girls was kind of her biggest movie outside of Disney. But I love her to death. Like, the artist she has, or not the artist, the voice that
The
she
artistry.
has.
Yeah.
Her voice is amazing. Like, she was up on that stage of the Academy Awards singing her song, and she was like... She's 23 now, so she was like 16 then, like...
Something like that, yeah.
It's insane. And then obviously we have The Rock in this.
Which, I mean, love him or hate him, I think he brings a star power that this film needed and wouldn't have survived.
I have a take with this.
The pitch process otherwise.
I think that this is one of... as far as movies go, I think this is the role that Rock has played that has the most depth.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, The Rock plays just... The character The Rock plays is just The Rock.
The only exception that I will make there, I don't know if you've seen the show Ballers on
So that's
HBO.
why I'm saying movie specific. Because
Okay,
Ballers
because I was going to say, his character in Ballers has layers. But in film, yeah, I can't think of much else that hits the level of depth.
Weirdly enough, the only thing
Maui
that I would
here.
say even comes close is his role in Fast and
Black
Furious.
Adam.
No, it's his role in Fast and Furious. Because there's a weird amount of depth to that character in Fast and Furious. And I stand by that.
Yeah, I'm going through his filmography, and I'm kind of with you that he basically just plays The Rock as a character.
It's kind of why I'm
here with it not being his face, it does make it easier for him to disappear in the role. I will say, I think, as awful as it was, that Hercules movie that came out like 10 years ago, it didn't feel as much like him because he had hair. But other than that, it was basically.
I'll be honest, I forgot that movie existed.
As you should.
I saw that in theaters. I forgot that it existed.
Do you remember I don't know if you remember, but in the G.I. Joe live action franchise, they killed off the main character from the first movie to make The Rock the star of the second movie, which was stupid.
I never saw the
Rock.
second movie. I never saw that one.
So they killed Channing Tatum's character in the first 10 minutes.
Why? He's the best character.
It's The Rock's movie.
I will say the best
What?
G.I. Joe movie is the most recent Snake Eyes movie, and I stand by that.
I haven't seen that yet. It's
Dude,
on
it
Netflix.
is
I might
so
get
good.
that. Might put that on the.
Does Netflix work on your
the
iPad?
watch list? So here's the thing. I don't know if it does because we have the ad version of Netflix. So I don't know if most of the times, and the reason. So okay. Aside, our Disney Plus just renewed. Yours probably did as well because November 19th. Shout out to Disney. It's the 4-year anniversary of Disney Plus launching in the U.S., Canada, and a few other regions. Right? It was 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah. So
Or technically
November 19th.
2019.
Was it 2019?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the very end of
So,
2019. So
5-year anniversary. You, just like I, probably had your Disney Plus renew yesterday because it was the anniversary.
probably.
And you probably had it from day one.
I mean,
And
family
we had to
counts.
make the call this year as to which tier we were going to be at. So actually, I downgraded to the tier that was like not 4K, but no ads. mostly because the tier with ads you can't download to your device, and I fear that Netflix is the same way. And we have the ad-enabled Netflix tier, so I don't think I can download to.
Yeah, I don't know what
the
we're
iPad.
at. It's one of those things where like I handle it, but like it's our family account, so I don't really think about it that much.
Your family account for now. We got hit by this whole Disney Plus householding thing, so I'm having to change the password so I can just watch in my own house.
Fair enough. I got a couple more names to talk about here because
Sorry, go ahead.
this movie is largely Moana and Maui. There are a couple other roles I want to shout out. The first being Rachel House playing Tala, Moana's grandma. One of the best characters in this movie. Tamara Morrison playing her dad. Jermaine Clement playing Tamatoa.
Before we get away from Tamara Morrison playing the chief, we cannot neglect to mention Christopher Jackson as the chief's singing voice. Christopher Jackson, also known for Hamilton. Fantastic stage actor, fantastic singer. Really happy to see him here.
Yeah, I hope he pops up in more things because he's amazing. Nicole Scherzinger as Moana's mother, Sina. And then, of course, Alan Tudyk as Hey. The cast of this is amazing and fantastic and wonderful. And they all deserve shout-outs. But especially, like we mentioned, Ali and The Rock. Also just
Jermaine Clement is also fantastic in the role of Tamatanga. Or
Tamatoa.
Tamatoa.
This is how I know you've been watching too much wrestling.
Too much wrestling, yeah.
Want to also shout out quick screenplay by Jared Bush. Jared Bush having written on a bunch of different stuff. Also writing on Zootopia, did writing on Encanto recently, also did writing on Moana 2.
That tracks.
And then directed by Ron Clements and John Musker. They have directed previous Disney films in the past, including The Princess and the Frog. And guess what, Mitch? It's back. They were also the directors of Treasure Planet.
God damn it.
It will come back in
away
every
from this
episode
damn
possible.
movie.
Look, whenever it pops up, I am contractually obligated to...
You with Treasure Planet is like me with anything Canadian, so I get it.
Mm-hmm. That said, let's start from the very top. Mitch, going back, watching this movie for the first time in a while, presumably. What was it like sitting down and rewatching Moana?
What if I told you it hasn't been a while?
I mean,
this is one of those ones that I just kind of throw on in the background when I'm either working or trying to fall asleep.
Yes, same.
So I've seen the first 30 minutes of this movie probably 3 or 4 dozen times. But sitting down and watching it with my attention from beginning to end, it's the other thing too is understanding that I'm going to be a father soon and not really fully grasping what that is going to mean. Seeing a young person like Moana in the situation she's in, go out on her own at a certain point, full support from her family or friends. Like it's just it feels different in a way that I can't quite explain. But I adore this movie. I think it beginning to end there really isn't any downtime, and there's a lot of really good character moments. The reveal at the end of what has actually been going on with the heart of Te Fiti and all of that, and coming to terms with, growing outside of the confines of what you've known your entire life, all of that. I love a lot of the theming in this movie. A lot of really fun comedic moments. Again, Jermaine Clement, obviously, for me at least, steals the show. That whole underwater monster world thing is just so that kind of tongue-in-cheek style of comedy that he has been known for throughout his career, looking at things like What We Do in the Shadows, certainly comes through here, and that deadpan humor is so perfect for that role in those moments. I love it. I love everything about it. I'm so happy it is a thing.
I love the monster world. I'm excited that we're going to get to see more of that stuff in Moana 2. I think if I were to give Moana some criticisms, there is a lot that happens and there's a lot of world building here that could really be expanded upon. Like the Kakamora in particular. I love them, and I want to know more
It's
about them.
such an easy merchandising opportunity too.
I want to know more about Tamatoa and like the monster world and all that. Like, it very much just kind of says, this is how it is, deal with it, and kind of just keeps rolling through the story for the sake of time. It's a very short movie, only 107 minutes. And I think that's to its benefit more often than not, but there's a couple of moments in there that I'm like, I would love to know more. But yeah, this is one that I keep on rotation for, like, if I need something in the background to actually get stuff done in the house, because of how well I know it at this point. I love this movie so much. The soundtrack especially, I think, is really special.
Yeah, I mean, this one of those things where I know on occasion you've had your qualms with Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I do think his soundtrack here lends itself really beautifully to the story that they're telling and the actors that they've cast.
I will make it clear, I think Lin-Manuel Miranda is a fantastic musician and a great songwriter. I don't like his acting.
So you didn't love his performance of We Know the Way?
I did like that.
See, that's the one performance that made me like,
because I think
quite right here. But
I think it's also the most unimportant song in the entire movie. So.
I really like the movie until we get to his verse, but that's just personal preference more than anything.
Yeah, I almost wish they kept it with the chant in that language. I don't know what the language is, and I am failing for that. I am sorry.
That's okay. We don't know everything, and we do the best we can to educate ourselves as we go through this crazy, wild experiment called life.
Don't mind me. I think it might be Tahitian.
That would make sense.
Or Maori.
Some Polynesian language for sure.
Yeah, I know it's Pacific Islands, but
so lyrics on the soundtrack are in English, Samoan, and Tokelauan.
Okay, so probably one of those.
Which is a Polynesian language spoken in Tokelau, historically by the small population of Swains Island in American Samoa.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So it's largely English and Samoan.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, speaking on that soundtrack, I don't think there's a single bad song on this list. In modern Disney times, I think a lot of these soundtracks, we occasionally have ones that are just like, it's banger after banger after banger. The one I think of, aside from Moana, that comes straight to my head is Encanto.
Frozen 2, Tangled.
But even like Frozen and Frozen 2 have like their moments of, okay, this song isn't nearly as good as the rest of them. Frozen 2 more than Frozen 1, in my opinion. And then you get to stuff more recently like Wish, where it's like, okay, there's a couple good songs here, but not loving everything.
They don't all hit.
Yeah. Moana, every single one of these songs hits. Can I just tell you how annoying it is that Where You Are hits? Where You Are, the song about being stagnant, staying on your island forever, is so goddamn catchy.
It's such a banger. It's so good.
Like, that's the song you had to put Christopher Jackson on? What the hell?
Look, he knows his shit, and he's, one of the most charming, charismatic performers going right now. And of course, they put him on the song where he's trying to keep his daughter from doing the thing she really wants to do.
I'll tell you what, if that man sang anything at me to ask me to do something, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Hard to say no to that.
Also, it's making me wonder what he's up to right now. Looks like he's kind of chilling. Doing like some TV shows and stuff. Some show called In Just Like That. Yeah. The more you know, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he's never really been much of a green performer. He is very much stuck to the stage. So I imagine he's probably doing some production somewhere.
His last show he was in was... Well, his last real show that he had an actual role in was Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
He does cameo performances in a show called... Or did cameo performances in a show called Freestyle Love Supreme. Maybe he's working on something right now that isn't out yet. I don't know. And that's just looking at his Wikipedia quick. Mitch, what's your favorite song in this movie?
I mean, it's hard not to say that it's Shiny. I just from pure joy, it's probably Shiny or You're Welcome. You can discredit Dwayne Johnson's singing voice as much as you want.
It's good.
It's still a really fun song, and he's got the bridge there. Kid, honestly, I could go on and on. I could explain every natural phenomenon: the tide, the grass, the ground. Oh, that was Maui just messed. Like, it gets stuck in your head. You can't help but smile. You can't help but sing it through. It's fun.
That's what eventually led us to that
sort of the
rap
atypical answer.
And I want you to understand that the rap we got from The Rock would not exist without this movie. And I stand by that.
The thing is, it's not the first time we've had The Rock sing. Or Dwayne Johnson sing, because we did have The Rock singing in. It was a bit that he had in WWE, but
fair. Yeah, I think for me, it's How Far I'll Go. I think
it's hard not to say that. Yeah,
like it is the title song. It is the big moment for Moana, right? Like, it is that moment, but like
it's her ballad.
At the same time, the point in the movie where she is almost about to put The Rock up on the pile, and then doesn't, and runs back down to the water, to the boat, to go out there. How can't you love that?
I mean, there's not many moments of this film that are, like I said earlier, there really aren't any down moments. Like, this film just goes, and it goes in a way that very few movies do, and it's really, really, really fun to just revisit.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm so excited for Moana 2.
I'm worried.
The thing that got me excited for it was I heard some of the music. It's good.
I've specifically avoided any of it because I don't want to spoil myself to those moments in the theater where I'll be that weirdo alone on a Tuesday watching this movie so that we can record it before Thanksgiving.
Mitch, I have succeeded. I'm not going to be alone anymore watching that movie.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be alone.
My little brother's coming home. He's coming with me.
Lucky you. I get to be that creep in the theater watching a kid's movie alone on a Tuesday.
For what it's worth, my little brother is back in town for a week for Thanksgiving, and I'm forcing him to go to Moana with me.
You're not forcing him. He wants to go.
Oh, no, I literally called him. Well, maybe, but I literally called him up and said, "You're going to Moana 2 with me on Tuesday. Figure it out."
Fair enough. The thing I worry about is that this was originally pitched and designed as a Disney Plus series, and I know they've reworked it to make it work within the feature film model and motif, but I still worry about the way that the story is going to translate from what was a series into a film, and whether or not they can really stick the landing there.
Oh yeah, I think those are very valid concerns. I think for me, I knew what needed to happen here, especially when you have that first movie and the music being done by somebody like Lin-Manuel Miranda, was the music needed to hit. And they needed to have a story that was at least somewhat interesting to me. Them making it partially about the Kakamora, making it about this the monsters and this curse, and how it goes back to her ancestors, I think was the way to do that for me. I'm not sold on some things about it yet. Like there are some bits and pieces, and you saw this looking at some of the trailers where it was like, this feels like chopping up the show and turning it into an hour and a half. And it's a very short runtime as well.
For the sequel or for the first one?
For the sequel, it's 100 minutes.
Interesting.
That said, I am still interested enough. I think the big question mark for me in this is kind of this like group of people that's going to be on this trip with Moana. Like, who is Moana's team? And then obviously just like from the public eye at least, the pre-production of this has just felt weird. Like the original Moana series not being like properly announced at like a D23 or something, but being announced on the investors call.
Yeah.
And then that them going from TV to movie, I think also being announced at an investor call.
You might be right.
Because that was a Bob Iger video.
That was a Bob Iger call. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, my biggest concern is just that it's going to feel like a series that they've kind of concatenated into this 100-minute runtime. I don't want it to feel like they've spliced together episodes of a show to make it into a movie. I want it to feel like a feature. And that's my concern, is that it's not... I worry that this is going to get the Clone Wars treatment.
Ooh, do you think that bad?
Not that bad. I enjoy the Clone Wars movie, but it just feels like 3 episodes of the Clone Wars show. And I don't want this to feel like 3 episodes of a Moana show, if that makes sense.
Fair enough. I will say there's another thing that is exciting for me is just some of the people they brought into it. Namely the fact that they brought David Fane. I'm just really happy he's in it. I'm just curious. I love this world. I think that's really what it comes down to for me. Is I love Oceania,
Oceania,
because it's Ocean IA, which is is just the geographic region of like Australia, Malaysia, but it's Disney, so I don't know if it's like supposed to be our world or if it's its own world. Either way, I love like just what we know from the lore of Moana and what we'll be potentially getting in Moana 2. We like to talk a lot about how like everything that we get from Disney these days is sequel or remake. But like this is a franchise that I genuinely want that sequel from. Part of me is still disappointed that this second movie is not a TV show. Just because I wanted that much more content.
I'm glad that this exists. Like, looking at Disney in terms of the stories that they tell, I'm glad this exists. I'm more excited about this than I am Toy Story 5. And we'll put it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, Toy Story is my childhood. I said earlier, Toy Story 3 is one of the most formative Disney experiences I've ever had. I'm not looking forward to seeing a 5th Toy Story film. I am looking forward to this. I do have my concerns just because of the way it was produced. But in general, I'm glad to see Disney taking these original concepts they're coming up with and turning them into franchises rather than just saying it's one and done. I'd kill for a Big Hero 6 too. I'd really enjoy Princess and the Frog too if we went back to hand-drawn animation.
Well, we are getting the Tiana show eventually.
We are getting the show.
And there is a Big Hero 6 show.
Are we getting the show, or is the show going to end up getting reworked into a film?
I mean, we know nothing about it.
That was the other thing they announced at that investors call that we've heard very little about.
Yeah, they announced. Yeah, it was Tiana, Moana, and was
Moana.
it Zootopia?
The Zootopia shorts, I think. Yeah, or was it Zootopia 2?
No, it was the shorts because it was all series. And again, watch Big Hero 6 the show. It's so good.
I probably should.
It is legitimately just Big Hero 6 too.
To finish up that point, it's great to see them investing in these original franchises that they've come up with, rather than just revisiting the well. I'm really excited to see something like Elio coming out next year, and them continuing to invest in original IP. Things like, I mean, we're looking at Pixar as well. It's just Disney as an umbrella. Things like Turning Red. Like, I'm really excited for them to tell those original stories, but it doesn't hurt to go back to these characters and these franchises that people have come to grow and love over the years. Again, maybe too much Frozen on the horizon, with 3 and 4 both being planned.
Yeah, but that means
too many damn Avatar movies, but that's a different problem.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, it's like at least since like let's say 2010, right? There have been a couple that have reached past that point and become their franchises, but really it's mostly Frozen. Like Big Hero 6 and Tangled are the two that can think of that got like long-standing TV shows, at least for 2 or 3 seasons, that are actually very good and very fun to the worlds with them. But other than that, like, we're not really seeing much from them. Like Wreck-It Ralph, we got the sequel, and then that's all we've ever.
But the sequel didn't do as well as the original.
The sequel, frankly, wasn't as good as the original.
It wasn't.
But then you've got like Raya the Last Dragon, which had its own problems with the timing of it coming out in 2021. We have Encanto, which deserves so much more, and I hope we will get an announcement of that soon. We had Strange
I
World.
fully
which,
expect either a sequel film or a series like that. It makes too much sense.
I mean, if they're putting something in Kanto in the parks, they are going to do something
It's
within
going to happen.
Kanto. But yeah, then we got like Strange World, which we love, but did not do well, and we've got Wish. And mind you, I'm keeping just Disney animation.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. And Wish, I don't expect us to see anything more from that either.
I would not be surprised if we never see anything from it again. Also, just gonna say, a surprisingly anti-establishment movie for Disney, Wish. Just saying.
Especially to be their big 100-year anniversary film.
But like, look at what we got going forward from Disney Animation. It's like, okay, Moana this year, next week. Oh my god. Zootopia next year. Zootopia 2 next year. Unannounced film 2026 and Frozen 3 in 2027. Like, I can't see us getting many more new franchises. So to see franchises sprouting from Moana, from hopefully Encanto, God, I would love a full franchise coming out of Raya and the Last Dragon. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Like, it's nice
Again,
to
I
see
can
that.
see them following a similar path to Moana 2 with developing the Tiana show into a Princess and the Frog sequel, especially with the parks representation. They probably want to maximize their box office return or the return on investment of what's been done so far in that. I do think that Moana 2's release is going to be a bit of a litmus test for whether or not they transition Tiana from Disney Plus to a feature film. And then you can't discount the live action side of Disney either, of taking these franchises and making them live action. We got our first look at Stitch and the Lilo and Stitch live action film. I do expect them to revisit a few of their films and bring them to live action. Princess and the Frog is one I think would be ripe for a live action adaptation. As would, Frozen or Zootopia, maybe not Zootopia, Frozen or Encanto, following on the Moana live action film that we'll get whenever it is that's coming out.
Yeah, so looking into like the Tiana's animated show for just a second, because we keep bringing it up. Looking into it a little bit, it does look like it is still happening. They were being quiet about it because of the show, which feels a little bit backwards, but alas. It was originally supposed to debut in 2022, but they do still have a showrunner on the project. Joyce Sherry was coming on as the lead writer, director, and showrunner. So maybe we'll hear something about Tiana's show soon, but it does sound like if we're getting it, it will be a show.
We'll see.
And the pitch we have for like what the story's supposed to be does make sense for it being a show rather than a movie.
Yeah.
I think that's
I agree with that, but I would have said the same about Moana too until.
Well, did we? I don't think we ever really did. We know much about the show before it was.
We knew it was going to be a similar, like in the same vein of what the film has become, of this group going out and having adventures kind of deal. Nothing too concrete, but again, it probably meant that they didn't have much to go on, and that's how it ended up developing into a feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if it is they didn't have much to go on, or it was like this is what could really make or break the movie for me. It's either they didn't have enough to go on, so they had to make it shorter and make it into a movie, or they had a very good concept within that they wanted to hone and focus on. And I think that's kind of what's going to make or break the difference here. Bring it back. We got to bring it back to the original here for a little bit, because that's what we're here to talk about. Look, this is y'all are getting like the full excitement of a new Disney movie happening next week.
I mean, I might seem a little less excited just because I got a lot of shit going on right now.
Fair. I'm trying to think if there are any other facts or people that I want to mention on this before we jump into the actual plot of the movie itself. But no, I think we're good.
I mean, one thing that I mean, as always, I love that Disney does nods to their other films, and they do these hints or these Easter eggs. So like we got a shot of Sven in this movie, which I thought was really fun.
Mm-hmm. Good reference.
Maui's trying to figure out all of his transformations after he gets his hook back, and he can't. He ends up as Sven. I thought that was fun.
Oh yeah, I want to shout out the tattoo animation as well in this.
Yeah, the 2D animation is really well done.
Yeah, 2D animation is really good, well done, especially in the "You're Welcome" scene, which we'll get to, because I want to do that plot-wise. Let's talk about the plot. Plot. That's not our show. We can't use that.
I stopped.
We learned a lot of the beginning is a lot of exposition of kind of explaining things. We're talking about Motunui, the goddess of nature, talking about Tefiti, Motunui is the goddess. Tefiti's the goddess. Motunui's the island.
Tefiti's the goddess. Motunui's the island, yeah.
Motunui's the island. Talking about them, talking about Maui, the shapeshifting kind of a trickster demigod. And goddamn if he's not a trickster, like right off the bat. We learn how Maui stole the heart of Tefiti to try to give humanity the power of creation. Was attacked by Taka, a volcanic demon being, proceeding to lose his stuff to the depths of the sea, yada yada yada. This is why the world is messed up, as it is. We get this telling though from Moana's grandmother to a bunch of kids, absolutely scarring a couple of them for life. Those kids are absolutely traumatized, and it's kind of hilarious.
So much fun. Everything gets engulfed in inescapable death, and then one kid craps his pants.
Yeah. Well, did she really need to like do the ink blot on the paper to like explain it? No, but that's excellent storytelling.
What makes it worse is when the chief comes in and says there's no such thing as monsters, and all of the other banners fall. And there's all these other monsters. Like, yeah, adults are full of shit.
Mm-hmm. We then get our first song, like almost right off the bat, of like Moana growing up on the island, falling into her role as the daughter of the village chief. But honestly, the best part of the song comes to her moment with her grandma. Presumably, there were many moments like this throughout her childhood. But like the lyrics,
well, just with between her and her grandmother's connection with the ocean, it's just lovely to see their relationship and the way that it manifests in her, passing away and still being a part of her journey, and the jokes of, oh, I guess I picked the right tattoo. Like, it's such a lovely relationship. And I mean, as someone who lost his grandparents fairly young, I wish I could have had that kind of relationship with any of my grandparents. So getting to see this kind of relationship here really warms my heart.
Yeah, she has that, like, her verse in this of, like, the water is mischievous, I like how it misbehaves. The village may think I'm crazy, you say that I drift too far, but once you know what you like, well, there you are. It's such a like old person like stance that you are able to have because you have that life to you, but it is such a founding belief within Moana, and I can totally see how that one line of once you know what you like, well, there you are, leading into how Moana acts throughout the rest of this movie of like, no, this is what I need to do.
This is her inspiration. This is her guiding principle.
Mm-hmm. I love this opening song. I think it does such a good job of just setting everything up, and also it's catchy as hell. This all happens.
Something else I didn't realize is that Taika Waititi did the first draft of the screenplay for this movie.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see what that. I learned that when Lynn doing some research for the episode.
Okay.
I want to know what
that would have just
was.
been. I would imagine that is just more of that deadpan humor that we get. Like, I feel like the entirety of Jermaine Clement's role in this was just Taika being like, hey, he's my friend and I'd like him to be in this movie, so I'm going to write the spot specifically for him. And you cannot write it out.
Well, like, looking at the stuff at Taika's, I want to know what Taika's script was, because, like, what we know about it is a very, very different movie.
Yeah.
Of it, like, Moana being, like, the daughter in a family of mostly boys, and, like, it very much being a gender-based story, rather than this kind of, journey of finding yourself.
That would have gone a long way, I think, with the events of, I mean, it would have been before its time in terms of dealing with gender discrimination and issues of that nature, with the Me Too movement becoming very, very prominent within a few years after it. So it's interesting to hear some of these writers and their thought processes and ideas of what they want to bring to screen and how it can be mirrored by real life events that haven't even occurred yet. It's like the writers of The Simpsons predicting certain things of the future, which, love it or hate it, they've done on numerous occasions.
Yeah, I am. I would love to read that original script.
Yeah.
Anyways, after the song, we go to see Moana kind of, being the daughter of the chief, but really running things, and she's doing a great job of it. Until she very reasonably recommends, hey, if there's no fish in the lagoon, we go out of the lagoon.
Not rocket science, go where fish be.
It is not a ridiculous request of her father. But he gets angry for her even recommending to go out there. Moana has this moment that night, kind of runs off, talks. We get the my favorite song of wow, I've been talking about
How Far I'll Go.
Yeah, How Far I'll Go.
How Far I'll Go.
Look, this is what happens when we've talked for 45 minutes.
I was gonna say, what plot? We just rambled.
We get How Far I'll Go, fantastic number still. Going into her trying to go out for the first time with Pua, her pet pig, who is adorable and wonderful and amazing, and I love this pig.
And did not get nearly enough screen time, and I'm glad to know that he's back for the sequel.
Yeah, but we got Hey Hey, and I think that was worth it. Yeah, she goes out, and it goes bad, but honestly, like, she technically shipwrecks it. But it could have gone a lot worse.
A little bit.
It could have gone a lot worse. We saw how it went for her dad. Like, it could have gone so much worse for her. The pig is fine. She, like, skinned the top of her foot.
She didn't die, is the big piece of that.
I do also love that as she comes back, Grandma's, like, blaming on the pig. Grandma, again, just kind of being the homie throughout all of this. Back on land, yeah, Grandma's the first person to run into, blaming on the pig. Being like, no, you did what you thought you needed to do. And Moana is having this kind of crisis of faith in herself. And Grandma is giving the best advice of, my favorite way to give advice of, okay, go do that then. If that's what you think you should do, go do it. She has one of my favorite lines in this scene one of my favorite lines of the movie of Moana asks something along the lines of, don't you have questions or whatever for me? She's like, is there something that you want me to ask? And Moana, like, we have this great moment between them of, like, Moana kind of getting herself back together. And Grandma eventually takes her over to show her all of the boats from their ancestors. Their ancestors used to be wayfinders, used to be voyagers. But we're not able to after Maui stole the heart, because monsters were now out in the ocean and making it way too dangerous. We get our third song here. This is the chant. This is We Know the Way. Moana brings this information back to the tribe. Back to her dad, who is like, this is still ridiculous. We're not going out of the lagoon. Stop this shit.
Knew I should have burned those boats years ago, not even giving her the opportunity to do it. Mm-hmm. And if he had done that, then the movie would have ended in about 10 minutes when everybody dies. And that would have been it.
It literally would have been Fade to Black.
Yeah.
Great song. On their way out, they find his mother's cane, and she's dying. And in her final wish, she's like, Moana, go do the thing. So she goes off and does the thing. She starts packing up all of her stuff, quietly and secretly, gets caught by her mom, who helps her. Her mom being the absolute homie in this situation. And she takes off to go find Maui to help make him restore the heart of Te Fiti. But it's really rough going as she's going out there. She has no idea how to actually sail, but she's figuring it out as she goes until she crashes and flips the canoe. She gets stranded on this island happening to be the island that Maui is on, largely thanks to the ocean. Oh, I forgot to mention, the ocean in this is a character, and it's awesome. And it's so really, really cool water physics and animation that still is like magic.
It's Disney magic and is the snarkiest body of water I've ever met.
There's a moment where I think it's with Maui, where it pops up, gives a single nod, and then goes back down. It's so funny. Anyways, Moana runs into Maui, and we get the song "You're Welcome," which is great, and it's totally giving me vibes of like animation-wise. Very much gives me the vibes of "I Just Can't Wait to Be King."
Oh, absolutely. The mix of two. I mean, in that you had the
2D, 3D,
stick art, or like not 3D, but you had the 2D models running through a flat world, and here you've got these 3D models on this flat plane, which I thought was really, really well done. I love the reveal at the end that everything Maui was giving her, there was like all this 2D beautiful like flowers and food and stuff, was just rocks and seaweed.
Rocks, seaweed, it's all garbage. I think there was a coconut in there too.
So some of the lyrics here too, I love that this really does tell Maui's whole story, and if you really like read into the lyrics, or they're foreshadowing a lot of what gets revealed later. Like he has that line about Maui can do anything but float, foreshadowing the fact that his parents abandoned him as a kid and tried to drown him in the ocean, where he was then discovered by the gods and given his abilities. Like, that shit's dark.
Oh yeah.
But they reveal it in a very, lighthearted way with this song, and then explain it in depth later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be a classic Disney move, right? Of we're gonna take something that's like morbid and depressing and dark and put it in a kids movie. Yeah, I love this scene. I think it perfectly also just kind of explains like Maui is very much a trickster, yes, and like you can see his trickery fully on display with this song, but also there is that genuine like heart of gold hero-ness to him, of his desperate need for approval. So I think it again like it just does such a good job of explaining exactly who these characters are, where these characters are at. It's such a fun, unique way. Moana eventually gets back onto the boat, though. We get more jokes about Hey Hey. Everything kind of gets explained. Maui is like, hell no, I am not taking that back. And as Moana is testing him and they're arguing and whatnot, they get attacked by the Kakamora, the little coconut dudes that are always fantastic and wonderful and hilarious.
Until you realize they're probably cannibals and they're just trying to eat people's faces or something.
Oh yeah, they're horrifying. Yeah. But also, tell me that those characters are not like the perfect like video game grunts.
They're basically the minions, but less yellow and annoying.
And more fun.
And the minions are pretty fun. They're just pretty obnoxious.
Are they though? Are they fun?
Look, if we did a tier list of all of the annoying minion type characters in film, they'd be at the top of the list.
They would be dead last on my list.
Wow.
I hate the minions.
You hear that minion slander, Carmen?
I hate the minions.
I think she's
so
asleep.
much.
She loves the minions. I got so much where's our minion stuff around here? I think it all got packed away, but
good.
It's around here somewhere.
Get rid of it. Yeah, we fight the Kakamora. Moana really doing the heavy lifting here while Maui's trying to run away. They almost get the stone. Hey eats the stone, so they take the chicken. It's really fun to watch a coconut running around carrying a chicken by its neck.
How Hey isn't dead at this point is beyond me.
It's one of my favorite running bits in the show. It's just how the hell did this chicken survive? We also get a really good bit here right after Moana jumps onto the ship, where she's just like coconuts. And just lets out years of repressed anger towards coconuts.
It works. It lines up.
Eventually, though, they are able to get away, although a bunch of these paralyzing darts are now in their boat as Maui's kind of getting rid of them. Once again, Maui's being like, ayo, no. I think this is where the ocean then paralyzes him with one of the darts.
Pretty sure, yeah.
So that Maui will help teach Moana how to sail. He's still not fully teaching her yet, though. They make their way though to Lalatai, the realm of monsters. They climb up a giant mountain and then jump down into it. And Moana has what I think can easily be summarized as a bad time before getting to Tamatoa, the giant crab with a shell of gold. Literally, it's so shiny and wonderful. And that's when we get into another fantastic song, Shiny. Eventually, the Maui gets his hook back. They trick Tamatoa with a fake rock that looks like the heart of Te Fiti, or it's a barnacle.
I love the trickery here because it's just like, I've got it. Wait, no, this is just a stone that is painted with bioluminescent algae. And instead of all that exposition as to what had actually occurred, if you just turned around and grabbed them, the movie would be over. And
Yeah.
they'd have the thing, and then they wouldn't be doing their thing. And
But also, it's an A+ joke. It's so good.
But again, it's that deadpan style of humor that Taika, Jermaine, the What We Do in the Shadows crew are just so well known for. I still need to watch Our Flag Means Death.
Dude, you really do. It's so good.
I really do. Maybe that's another one to download to the iPad if our equivalent of HBO Max works on the tablet
I
still.
love that show. Yeah, they escape Tamatoa barely. And we get a moment of kind of, dropping the sarcasm, dropping the tomfoolery from Maui to try to be nice to Moana. But he has a shark head. And it's kind of hilarious. The shark head's great. 10 out of 10 bit. They have their moment of kind of being nice to each other. Maui is being kind of grumpy though because the hook is a little damaged and it's been a while since they've used it, so he's not really great with it at the moment. So they kind of we get this montage.
It's almost like he's got performance anxiety.
Yeah, literally. We get this montage with some music of Moana and Maui training Maui with the hook, as well as Maui teaching Moana how to sail. It's adorable and great, and they eventually make their way out to Motunui. When they're there, they are faced with Te Kā, and it goes about as bad as it could possibly go without them dying.
Doesn't go well.
Mm-hmm. Te Kā kind of blocks them from really being able to do anything. Moana tries to find a way through, but is very close to getting them killed. Maui deflects Te Kā's attack, but in doing so, drastically just beats up his hook. So if he takes one more hit from someone like Te Kā, it's going to shatter. And to him, he is nothing without his hook. Moana has this another moment again of losing faith in herself, where she gives the heart of of Te Fiti back to the ocean. In this moment where it's water, but you can see the sadness in the ocean. So well done.
Speaking of sadness, this just came across my feed, and it's not entirely related, but I'm still sad that Scott Pilgrim Takes Off will not be getting a second season at Netflix.
Did they tell the whole story in season 1?
They did.
Then great.
They did. I know. It's still sad. It's such a good show.
It is. I will finish it at some point.
I also need to finish it, and I feel like it's kind of a black mark on my TV viewing that I haven't, but we didn't have Netflix for a while.
Fair.
But it's Toronto, so I have to watch it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's
watched the
kind of
first 2 episodes.
Rite of passage.
And it was like, great,
Yeah,
this
it
is
sounds about what I
Scott
watched
Pilgrim.
too. Yeah.
Which is great. I love Scott Pilgrim.
Activist.
Well, I like Scott Pilgrim the franchise. I hate Scott Pilgrim the character.
Scott Pilgrim, the character, is a piece of shit.
Yeah,
That's the point.
That's the point. Anyways, we get this moment of sadness from Moana, who's then comforted by this manta ray spirit that turns out to be her grandma, Tala. We get a very wonderful scene of her kind of hyping her granddaughter back up, and another really cute reprise. This is the I Am Moana song, and a kind of a reprise of Where You Are. I don't know. It's technically its own song called Know Who You Are, but it's very much a reprise.
It's a reprise, yeah.
She dives back into the water, grabs the heart, comes back up. We get a quick montage of her sailing all on her own, and she's killing it. She is a wayfinder by this point. Also, just shout out to the word wayfinder for just being cool.
Such a cool video game.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, that was Spiritfarer.
No, Wayfinder's
Wayfinder's a thing too, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought Wayfinder was the puzzle game.
For some reason, I was thinking Wayfire was Spiritfarer, but it's not.
No, Wayfinder is that weird ARPG.
Oh yeah. All right, back to this.
Reminds me, offline, I have a game to talk to you about. Where was I? Oh yeah, so she goes back and is going to go and confront Taka to restore Te Fiti herself. She doesn't need Maui. And frankly, she really doesn't need Maui. Maui comes in clutch in this, don't get me wrong. But she totally could have done this one on her own.
She needed Maui to get to this point. She doesn't need Maui from this point forward. Yeah. Maui needs her more than.
And like, I want to shout that out because I think that's such a powerful thing in this. It's like Maui is there and Maui is helpful, but Maui was not necessary.
Yeah.
But yeah, she goes. They fight. Maui ends up taking a hit that destroys his hook. Moana gets to the island, past the barrier, doing some dope sailing stuff. Crashes the ship, but she still makes it.
Still counts.
Yeah, she still counts. Any land you can walk away from, right?
Exactly.
She climbs up the mountain to realize that Te Fiti is missing. Looking back at Taka, realizes that Taka is actually Te Fiti, just without her heart. She has the ocean open up this walkway in between them, and we get this super awesome, super beautiful scene of Taka like crawling on all fours, just angrily, instinctually, just running at her. She walking back toward her, singing. It's so beautiful. I love this.
We get that great song in what I'm assuming is either one of the Samoan languages that we mentioned earlier. Yeah, and it's such a beautiful moment.
This is Know Who You Are, by the way. The other song I was talking about was I Am Moana. She eventually gives Te Fiti her heart back, and we watch kind of the rocks crumble to reveal who Te Fiti actually is. Looking a lot like Moana, just saying.
A lot of ancestry to this whole story. It would make sense that there's some resemblance.
We get one of the greatest sass looks from Te Fiti as well when Maui is apologizing.
Like, I'm sorry that I done goofed. Please help me.
Like, that is straight up reaction image level, like facial expression, and I love it.
Yeah.
She gives Maui a new hook and gives Moana a new ship for her to return home to. We get this great moment of kind of acknowledgement and that ancestral bond between them as Moana heads home. She goes home and reunites with her parents, but more importantly, she reunites with Pua. And this
most important reunion of this movie, not her and her grandmother, her and the pig.
Yeah. This pig also just acting like a dog is like straight up licking her face.
Yeah. I mean, pigs are smart.
Yeah. We get this final moment. We also got this moment before Moana and Maui went their separate ways of this cute why people could use a master wayfinder. They already have one. I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
They pull out all of the boats from the cave and take off to resume voyaging as Moana places a shell that the ocean kind of just pulls out for her on the top of the stack rather than putting a stone. And thus, and then we know the wave starts playing again.
And we get a dope cover of Moana song by Alessia Cara.
Yeah. Also, just to throw it out there, we got a cover of You're Welcome from Jordan Fisher, and I don't think we appreciate that enough.
It's real good.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is also in it. He does the rap.
Which is fine.
Yeah, I think it's good. I like the cover.
It's kind of like the Hamilton mixtape that came out a few years after that soundtrack, where they just went and remixed a bunch of those songs. Mm-hmm. And it was really good. This felt like that, which kind of tracks for Lin-Manuel and his track record with Hamilton, and then this and then Hamilton. Like I said, I love this movie. I think this movie's excellent. I'm really excited for next week, even if the movie's shit.
like for us to sit down.
I'm
and talk
still
about
excited
it.
to talk about it, regardless of the quality of the film, because it's a very unique situation with the transition from a Disney Plus show into a theatrical release and what that entails and whether or not they can stick the landing.
Yeah, normally
we
we
will
get the
get
opposite.
there next week.
Yeah, that is for next week, Mitch. People want to keep up with us till then. Where can people find us?
At D plus us, wherever you want to find us. YouTube's a great spot. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your grandma, share with your pig, your hey, whoever will watch and listen and like and be a fan of this. We appreciate you for sticking around with us right through to the end.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Obviously, next week we will be putting out our Moana 2 review as soon as we can. I know when we're recording it, but it's also the week of Thanksgiving.
It'll be
here in the States.
Thanksgiving-ish.
So
Yeah.
times will vary.
Maybe.
Times will vary with
Yeah.
the holiday. Yeah, keep an eye out for all of that stuff. Keep an eye out on our other stuff. We just wrapped up our weekly series all about Agatha all along. And we'll maybe be jumping into Skeleton Crew, depending on how our lives are at that point.
We will make it work. It'll just be either me having to be very quiet or recording at very odd hours, or both.
Yeah, keep an eye out for those. Keep an eye out for our other normal episodes. We got some really great ones coming that are in the bank. But that is so far in the future. So until next time, folks, be good to each other and have a magical day.